I love mornings out here in the meadow and walking around the yard, listening to all the sounds. I am not out in the country, I'm in the suburbs, so I still hear neighbors talking and a little bit of traffic. But in the wee hours of the morning, just as the sun is coming up, it's all about the birds and the frogs and the cats getting fed on the patio and just this loveliness of a brand new day. And it gives me some hope for a better day. It gives me some encouragement for a better day. Hi everyone, I'm Michelle and welcome to my meadow. If it's your first time watching one of my videos, I am growing a garden here on my suburban lot in zone 9A in Northeast Florida, where we have a really long, hot and humid growing season. And I like to make these videos talking about what's going on around the garden, how I'm learning new things, how I'm adapting to working in the garden with one arm, and just lovely things that are happening in the garden. I am really excited and I want to say a thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. We passed our 1,000 subscriber mark a couple of weeks back, and I had other videos in the queue and I didn't stop to make a thank you video. So this is a thank you to everyone who has subscribed, everyone who has watched, everyone who has clicked the like button. I am very, very grateful. I recognize that you have plenty of things that you could watch and you choose to watch my videos. And so for that, I thank you. I have 1 week left until I've been told I get to remove this sling, which means the real work of rehabilitating my shoulder begins. I won't instantly be able to just start throwing a baseball or anything like that. If anything, PT has shown me I have a ways to go in getting back to normal. But the really cool thing is I'm adapting. We have been able to eat a few of our first blueberries, but I will tell you, this little net that I put over them, while it is deterring the birds, it hasn't completely stopped them. As I was picking blueberries last night, I found some that had been mauled a little bit, and so there is that. I love finding surprises in the garden, like the corn is getting its tassels. And then I looked over here and I see I have an eggplant, and it kind of blends in. It's the same color as the tomatillos, and I didn't even notice it. I finished mulching the potatoes and finished putting in the sweet potatoes in this bed, but here in the middle, this golden zucchini has decided to show up and show out, and this zucchini is growing beautifully over here, and I am very excited to see what that tastes like. That is a golden zucchini. I bought those seeds from Haas Tools. And down this whole bed is volunteers. Now, Dollarweed will volunteer anywhere that it's nice and moist, but I also have beans that I tried to grow last year but didn't come up, Malabar spinach that overwintered itself, and sweet potatoes. My goal was to let this bed rest this year, but it seems that nature has other ideas for some of the edibles that have been here in the past. This salvia just thrives here in this location. This is the hottest part of the yard at the end of the day, and it does not care. It just shows up and shows off and flitters in the wind. There are days that I come out here and there are 15, 20, 30 pollinators out here as the sun comes up over the top. In this bed, aside from planting out a number of plants in here, I also threw in flower seeds right before my surgery. In fact, I went around the whole yard and put them everywhere. And I'd be willing to bet I put close to 500 seeds in this bed. And finally, we are seeing the fruits of that. Here is a flower, but I don't know what that is. I'm thinking it might be a zinnia. Time will tell as the flower pops open. If you all know what kind of flower that is, feel free to please tell me in the comments. The agapanthus is another lovely surprise. I planted these in late, but it looks like we're still going to get at least one flower out of it. Oh, that makes me so happy. Oh gosh, we've even got some of the teeny tiny tomatoes almost ready to pick. I love seeing these tiny tomatoes. It's like having a little snack around the garden. Over here, I tossed a sweet potato in the ground just because. Everyone says you can't grow from a sweet potato, but we'll see what happens. In front of it is a taro, but behind that are sweet potato leaves popping up here in the banana circle, so we will see what happens there. In the winter, I tossed this blackberry bush underneath the Cataly guava, and it is now coming out of the top of the Cataly guava. It has put on a strong, long branch, and it is not dead, and it is not taking no for an answer. It says, oh, you can hide me under the Cataly guava, but I'm still going to reach up for the light. And this okra plant seems to feel the same way. I've already picked some okra and eaten it off, and now there are more growing on here. And this is a sprout out of the side of last year's okra plant. I may not get a lot of okra from it, but I really don't care. It reminds me to keep going and keep growing and don't give up. The tomatoes I'm about to show you don't look fantastic, but they have a really unique feature. They were all grown from a vivipary tomato. Vivipary means that it sprouted on the inside while the tomato was still intact. My friend suggested that I take that tomato and toss it in a bucket of soil, and I ended up with 23 seedlings that all made it to maturity, and I have planted a few and shared a few, and here are the ones that didn't get planted, but they don't care. They are still growing. We've already harvested about 8 tomatoes from these plants, and we'll just keep letting them grow here. They haven't been put in the ground. They have had a little fertilizer, but they're just sitting out here getting full sun every day and living life where they're planted. Over here, the beans are taking over. Now, I've never planted beans over here, but I did toss a whole bunch of bean vines out here to dry out a couple of years back. The funny thing is, I tossed them over there in front of where the compost bin is, but somehow I have beans growing 15 feet away. I also have hope because we have blocks, and my yard guy is coming this weekend to install steps so we can easily step down off the patio. I guess what I really wanted to say in this video is that even though terrible things are happening in the world, we can still have a hope. We can still find surprises that give us joy. Even if we're hurting, even when our heart is breaking, we can look for things that help us with the healing, help us with hope, help us love our fellow human beings. Until next time, remember to drink plenty of water and wear your sunscreen. Have a fantastic and hopeful day.